had Trick Williams' side on list and said Punk's a good guy. But Curtis Axel commented about you again recently, Konnan. Had you seen that?
Oh, well, let's hear it.
Yeah.
Okay, pull it up, Joe. I like how Joe kind of segued that into like, Curtis Axel said something about Punk. Oh, by the way, Curtis Axel has said something about you recently. Let's hear it.
Okay, so this is like for old listeners. Konnan and Curtis Axel had some tweets back and forth. Konnan wasn't a fan of his. This is 10 years ago.
I just said he needed a charisma transplant.
Right.
Okay, which he did.
So, which is very insulting. Okay, go ahead.
Well, he's got no charisma. He definitely ain't like Mr. Perfect.
No.
And he ain't in WWE anymore. Does that tell you anything?
Go ahead.
Funniness, bro. Okay, so on Monte and the Pharaoh, Axel confirmed he stands by everything he said about Konnan, his father's former opponent, who he called washed up. The dude said I was not entertaining. I don't even know what he said. He just tweeted that I was not entertaining. I was boring, whatever, not over.
No, somebody asked me what do you think about Curtis Axel, and I said he lacks charisma and he should get a charisma transplant. That's what set him off.
So he said, I tweeted him back saying, did you blow yourself up writing that tweet? Because I know you blew yourself up wrestling my dad. You've never been shit. So me and him got into it for a second, but that was years ago. But he's a piece of shit. I don't care about him.
Do you think I care about him? Do you think that
he called you a piece of shit, Konnan? I think that's a pointed.
I won't be
statement.
able to sleep tonight over that.
Well, you know what you should do? Where does Curtis Axel work right now?
Nowhere.
Oh, I was going to say wherever he works, you should contact their HR department about the words to talk about Curtis Axel.
And go to a mental health professional.
You know what's funny?
Do you want to hear his second comment or just move on?
Sure.
So he followed it up because now he said Konnan should go to the mental health professional because he's been fat shamed also apparently because Kurt Axel has said he's a fat slob, man. He never worked good matches. You ever see him in a heavyweight match? He talks shit to me, so I sent him something with my IC title in my hand like this posing. What's up?
Bro, if he's still bringing this up 10 years later, when was I even asked, hey, do you and Konnan still have heat, or you just brought it up?
The guy asked him about it.
Yeah. Right. On what podcast is that? What was the podcast, Joe?
Monte and the Pharaoh. I don't know what that is.
Monte and the Pharaoh. Of course, somebody knows what it is. You kidding me? The guy's doing podcasts with some people that nobody even knows who they are. Well, he's creating content, entertaining content. You know what's funny? When I met at the Hard Rock Hotel, which is the Virgin Hotel now, years and years ago when WWE was down, it was the night that Randy Orton concussed Christian, and Christian eventually had to basically retire. That was his last match.
Right.
I met him after the show. He came to the show afterwards to have a drink with me at the bar, right? And I could tell he was messed up, right? And I met Vicky Guerrero was there, but it's funny because Curtis Axel was there. I met him. He's fine, But bro, they all would refer to him as McGillicuddy. Because
that was his name, yeah.
I can't remember McGillicuddy.
That was stupid.
Right, exactly. So,
they just called him Joe Hennig. He hit Michael McGillicuddy. Whoever came up with that should have been fired.
Yeah, but I will say that I think what Curtis Axel said has a lot of merit. So I
could give a fuck what he says.
Maybe you know what he should do,
or what he does.
Well, I do, and I'd like to invite him on the podcast.
I knew you were
go ahead.
Joe, can you make Curtis Axel do a run-in?
He'll get slammed worse than he did the first time. So bring him in.
Yo, what's up?
All right, Jimmy. Show number 2. What'd you think of
That's how you start things.
Oh, I got you fired up already.
That's how you fucking start things, sir.
I knew that.
And you want me to fucking go backwards instead of going forwards after what I just heard. I tell you what, Cocaine was fucking awesome. Cocaine thinks outside the box. If you're for him, then you get what he's trying to do and trying not to do. If you don't get him, that's your problem. That's how I look at that as far as Cocaine the character goes. I wish him nothing but luck. It's not spelled Cocaine. It's spelled Cokane. It's a shtick. It's wrestling. Love it or hate it. Take it or leave it. That's your freedom. God bless America. What else you got, Mike?
Well, before we get going, man, I put the video up first.
Yeah.
Again,
Yeah.
we've taken a lot of follow up over the Curtis Axel interview, and and a couple of podcasts had a lot to say about, number one, him in general, and number two, our questioning of him.
Right.
But thoughts on might as well just jump right into it. Thoughts on Disco Inferno, Glenn, whatever the fuck his name is. Comments.
Well, can I start with
and wait a minute, hold on. And their fucking host. Again, these shows get these hosts. The guy looks like he's fucking homeless, dude. He literally looks like he's fucking homeless.
Whatever he looks like, I haven't seen. But here's if I can make an overall estimation of what I looked at.
Well, he's on the video when you watch the video again. Just
what is with Ned the narrator anyway? When did Ned the narrator come into play? Because Disco and Konnan alone never needed a Ned the narrator. So as far as that goes, that's a big fat whatever coming from me. Whatever.
Well, I'm going to disagree with you there. I disagree
Go
with
ahead.
you. Neither one had any kind of mic skills. Okay. I never
That's not what
found.
I'm getting at.
But
not what I'm getting at.
What I'm trying to say, at no point have I ever, even when Konnan started this podcast, do I find, and by the way, we're on the same network, the Believe Network, right? One of the few wrestling programs. I don't find him entertaining. I don't find Disco Inferno entertaining. In fact, I find him so not entertaining. I can't even, I just know his name is Glenn.
Right. Well, this is my take. Okay. Like, I remember when they first started the channel, I don't listen to too many podcasts. I have listened to them once in a while.
I think you liked them, right? You did like them.
And I'll tell you why I like them. I like them because Disco Inferno does know who we are. And that's what irked me about the whole thing. Look, the thing between Konnan and Curtis Axel is a legitimate, valid question for wrestling fans, which is what we are, to ask him about. I don't care if it was 10 years ago or 10 weeks ago. And I'm sure that they both understand that. All right? We're asking questions. Curtis answered it. He answered it truthfully. He answered it real. Konnan, to his credit, from what I heard, he ain't budging. It's how he felt then. It's how he felt now. Fuck off. I respect the shit out of both of them. All right? Whatever their differences, if they want to work it out over there on their program, this is another problem that I have with the whole thing. The entire time, Glenn's laughing. You called him Glenn Gilberti. Glenn's laughing. Says, who are those guys? No one knows who they are. You were on our show, Disco. I remember you being a good guy. You weren't doing podcasting yet, Disco. I remember it. All right? We both smoked the same joint together that day after the interview, and I don't think it had the same effect on me that apparently it has on you, because you don't remember anything. All right? You sat down on the couch, and you saw Mike and I break out 20-page scripts. And we both thought you were cool. I remember him being cool. And he was like, wow, you guys have scripts? And when you're sitting like near someone and you can feel like they're thinking, you just know. Some of us could just tell what other people are fucking thinking or their body language or whatever. He's processing. He's like, really? He's like, do you go live? Do you can? Mike, you remember these lines of questions we were getting?
Absolutely.
It happened. It was real. And again, good interview. Liked the guy. Afterwards, Bart happened to be there that day from Wisteria Hall, by the way. I talked to him about this earlier today. All right. He remembers it as clear as I do. So apparently the pot didn't have the same effect on him either. All right. We went outside. We're smoking a J. Good interview. We were talking, had a good time. Disco walks over to us. We do not like wrestling Mark nerd out and go, oh, Disco, you want to smoke with us? We're minding our own business. We're both 50-something-year-old men having a fucking doob. Show's over. We did our job, right, Mike? This is how we relax. Some people have a glass of wine. We're smoking a doob. He comes over to us. He's cool. We have a friendly conversation. Asked a few more questions about the wrestling business. I asked Bart, I'm like, don't you remember this? And he was like, of course I do. I remember every bit of it. you know. And we're not trying to take credit for anything, but for him to say he don't remember us, we're nobody watches us, nobody knows us. Come on, man. You
Well,
know?
Jimmy,
I mean, what
we've
is
had the
that?
conversation. That's the gimmick that everybody uses with this stuff is act
Same old,
like you
same
don't
old.
know. Listen, I listened to the kid from England talk to Dutch Mantel about Kevin Nash, and he goes,
Right.
"I think he has a podcast." No, you don't think.
Come
You know,
on.
that's the way it works, dude.
Come
You know,
on.
I wasn't so offended by that because to be honest with you, he may not remember. But here's the thing. If you're in this, right?
Right.
You're in it, right? There
Right.
is a competition going on. And again,
Yeah.
they may not be in competition with us, but the point of the matter is if you're around it and you're trying to get better and you're trying to get more subscribers and you're trying to do this, trying to do that, guess what? You're going to know certain shows and not just certain shows. Okay. Like I know a lot of the shows who do what we do. Again,
Right.
you know,
Oh, for God's sakes, let's just cut to the chase. Fucking Busted Open Radio knows exactly who we are. They've asked you to come and call in. Bubba Ray fucking hates us for real in real life. We just stood like fucking 10 feet away from him 2 weeks ago. Fucking people know who the fuck we are. It's like, stop it. What is that? What's
well,
revisionist? It's revisionist
I don't know
history.
I don't know if I told you the story, right? So when they used to ask me to call in, there's a separate number
Right.
that you get. You get a separate number, right?
Yeah.
Not their general line for anybody that calls into Busted Open.
Right.
And at some point, we had somewhat of a relationship with LaGreca. Okay.
Right. Right.
And I guess our comments about him on the side has pissed him off, which I get. Fine.
Yeah.
Again, we'll get into this because it seems like, look,
Russo knows who we are. We fucking argue with Russo all the time.
So anyway, I have this separate number, but when I called in recently and they wouldn't take my call. So that's an exact, you know.
Right.
Here's my point, man. I like certain people, right? But if I see an injustice, whether it's you or Phil DeCesare or the First Lady of Wrestling, Maria Davis, and I think they
nice people. What's wrong with you?
But say they did something I didn't believe in. Okay.
Yeah.
This is a platform where I believe I say my truth. You say your truth. Listen, the show has a script. It has a basic script. It doesn't tell us what to say. It doesn't tell you, Jimmy, what to say. It just says, this is what we're talking about. Here's the background in it in case you didn't know. Right. And it's not written like that either. I'm just trying to give the premise of it.
Yeah.
So we're kind of jumping off script, but we just might as well. Okay. And the reason is we do try to stay in some sort of order. And I'll explain this to people why we do this. When Abe is there, the producer, right? He sets up videos and pictures so the fans aren't just looking at two fucking jackasses in a fucking box like everybody else, like we're doing right now. It's fucking annoying. We're a television show. I fucking hate this. Okay? This fucking irks me, everybody. Anyway, I've made it clear I like Lee Cole. Okay?
There's a picture. There's a picture right there.
All right. I like Lee Cole. I think in a heart, he's a good guy. Okay. Lee Cole started a channel based supposedly, and I'm using air quotes. And again, if Lee's watching, which I know he is, this was supposed to be towards the end of the show, Lee, but since we jumped into the whole Disco Inferno nonsense, might as well jump into you too. Last week, we had Jason Knight on, would you agree with me, Jimmy, was a really nice guest, really good guest.
Yes.
Honest.
One of the best of the best that we've come across, yes.
So one of my questions was about journalistic integrity because Jason was trained by the great Johnny Rods. Okay? The iconic Johnny Rods.
Right.
Lee Cole, in case you guys forget what this dude looks like, had a recent show, which I knew was coming because he called me to tell me he was doing it.
Right.
And he told me, Johnny's got dementia. I didn't say a word because I'll be honest with you. I'm not one of these guys that say I talk to Johnny Rods all the time, but I have talked to Johnny Rods on more than one occasion, much more than one occasion.
Right.
Seems okay to me. But again, I haven't talked to Johnny in 3 months. Okay. I think the last time I was on the elliptical at the gym because he was bitching at me because I didn't send him a bottle of wine, which seems to be everybody's gripe with me lately.
Yeah.
That was a shot to your wonderful wife.
Yeah.
I haven't forgotten. I'm just a mess.
Wait. There you go. She just sent me a text. I'm
There
kidding.
you go. Right.
No, she didn't send me a text.
No,
I'm
I
giving you
get
this
it.
person.
I get it. So
Where's the case of wine? Anyway,
my point is there's no journalistic integrity. Okay. I understand a lot of people just say it's a podcast, but you just don't throw shit out there. Okay. So I was questioning it. So on Saturday, Lee was calling me and I wasn't in the mood to talk to him. I didn't pick up. Sunday, he tries calling me. I'm not picking up. Right. So then he writes a message saying, you fucked me over, blah, 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 whatever he wrote. I don't even know if he wrote that. He goes, I'll never talk bad about you or something. So all of a sudden, right? So I was on Lee Cole's show, Jimmy, and Jimmy, he's always wanted you on a show. He always considers you a talent, right? I know he's reached out to you.
All right.
There's his partner, the guy Renee, right? All of a sudden he goes on the attack on the channel, writing that he told Lee not to trust me, right? We're scumbags, we suck, blah, 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 blah. And basically, I'm like, dude, I'm not going to listen to you, right? I don't listen to you because you're and I mean this, and this is from the heart. You're a puppet. You're a yes man. You're everything I don't like about certain people, okay? If I tell you my opinion and all you go is, yep, yeah, you're right. You're this, you're that, you're this. You're a yes man. It's not your channel. It's Lee Cole's channel. He could have picked any schlub off the fucking street to be. He just needs someone to throw his bullshit to. Okay, that's what he does. Again, here, Jimmy, here's a list of stuff. And again, I know this drives you crazy. And I know, all right, so everybody knows out there, so it's fair. Jimmy thinks Lee Cole is nothing, right? He's just another whatever, okay? A nobody. And he's like, why are you wasting your time on this? I'm not wasting my time. I'm just trying to point out the hypocrisy of these people. Like, look, Lee Cole started his channel, the Ring Boy scandal, right? Lee Cole's known for the Ring Boy scandal. This is a list of stuff if people could read about what Lee Cole has done to try to make his channel popular. Okay, he actually, Jimmy, went to Sammy Guevaro's area, got Sammy Guevara on camera, and was fucking with him enough that Guevara and his son, I think his son, punched Lee in the fucking mouth. And then Lee uses that as being, I'm not scared of everybody, right? I don't even know why I'm going this deep into it, Jimmy, because I really didn't want to. It just annoys me that people feel they have a right to say whatever they want about people that is just not true. And, it's not right. That's my opinion. That's all I'm trying to say to you, Jimmy. That's all I'm trying to say to you. So going back to Glenn Gilberti, you said his name is, right? Disco Inferno.
Right.
You may have forgotten who we are, but you know who we are. You follow what I'm saying? I'm sorry. You may have forgotten you were on our show, but you know who we are. Don't tell me you don't know who we are. So the whole put down the other show to make them nothing is nonsense.
It's been repeated over and over again. We've watched it a million times. It's the thing that bothers you the most. It's the thing that bothers me the most. It's basically other guys who never thought about doing a podcast, decide to do a podcast, and then completely forget about, Monte and the Pharaoh and blah, blah, blah. We've been through this before. It's not that I don't think that any of them have any talent. They just go into my whatever file because you treated me like crap. I get it out once. If you bring it up, I get it out again. Otherwise, I don't give a fuck. I just don't give a fuck. Now, am I happy that Disco Inferno reacted that way? No. However, thank you, Disco, because now people who watch your show said to themselves, there has to be some of them, who's Monte and the Pharaoh? Because I'm positive that not every single one of your viewers knows who Monte and the Pharaoh is. So thank you for totally having selective memory because you mentioned us. Whatever. We're nobody. And Dark Side of the Ring knows who we are because we're going to be featured on what? How many episodes, Mike?
I think 2 to 3
ESPN down
episodes.
here. ESPN down here knows who we are. And you should remember who you were because I remember you as a cool dude, and I remember you smoking with us. That's what I remember.
Let me put it this way, Jimmy. Let's be honest. Then I mean, if I want to be an asshole about it,
Yeah.
Glenn Gilberti, again, correct me. I can't remember his name. I'm on it. I just don't remember his name. He's a fucking bouncer at a fucking strip joint.
I don't even know what he does now.
That's what he does. That's what he was doing. That's what he does. Okay. That's who he is.
That's what he does.
You were Disco Inferno. You got overpaid for whatever they overpaid you for. And now you're in you live in an apartment in Las Vegas as a strip joint fucking bouncer. Big fucking deal. Who cares? And the other thing, just trying to be respectful. Dude, Konnan looks like he's fucking death warmed over, dude. Did you see him on that video? I did still shots because we would get hit with a copyright, right? So I had to do still shots. But when you saw him in the video, the dude looks like he's half dead.
Well, I'm not happy to see him looking.
I didn't say
that.
I was happy. I'm just saying he looks like he's fucking half dead.
Yeah, well, it looks like Father Time is being mean. I don't know how badly his body reacted to all his bounces, but apparently he's having difficulties. It looks like I'm not happy to see that though.
Listen,
really.
I know you like their shows, but let's talk about them as a wrestler, okay? We just took a shot at Disco Inferno. That's
look, as a wrestler,
fruit.
if you want my wrestling opinions, my honest wrestling opinions, and I have a right as a fan. I've been watching for decades. My wrestling opinions on both of them are this: Konnan was a mid-carder who could talk really good. He was a good promo guy. I had never liked his character. He never did a thing for me, but he certainly achieved more than Disco Inferno in his career. And I know what he means to Mexican wrestling fans. So I know that he's done something.
Also, he was a promoter that ripped off all the Mexican wrestlers all the time too. Call it like it is. Yeah, of course. Call it like it is. I mean, the guy was a sleazy promoter down in Mexico. I mean, come on.
Okay. You asked me about the wrestler. I'm just talking about the wrestling. I'm not talking about the promotion.
You know what? He was Max Moon in the WWE.
Right. That was terrible.
He was so talented. They had to wrap him in a fucking rubber
terrible.
outfit.
Dude, like I said, I was never a fan. I never rooted for him. He did nothing for me. You know what I'm saying? As far as Disco was comic relief.
But for Konnan to say that Curtis Axel has no talent or charisma, bro, you have no charisma either. What, putting on a gangster outfit and a hat and your top button back and going to Orore or whatever the fuck he said? Whoop the fucking dude. That ain't charisma, bro.
Right. Well, on paper, I mean, look, as a fan, I always preferred Curtis Axel by far over either one of them. That's my wrestling take, but that's me. I liked when he was a Paul Heyman guy. I liked when he was Intercontinental Champion.
All I thought to myself, Jimmy, was when I first saw the video, I'm like, yep, there you go. The undercut, like no one knows you, just like that the Lee Cole's puppet, right? We've had our channel 6 months and we're 10 times bigger than you.
Fuck you and your fucking nonsense.
It's the same nonsense, and it's
fuck
old.
You.
It's like, give it a break already.
Dude, it's circular file shit already to me. This shit's already flushed.
Well, we're going to get off this because we got a lot more to talk about, but let's just talk about Lee Cole. I just want to go over some things. So everybody who may watch Lee Cole, let's talk some cold, hard facts here. Lee Cole built his channel 7 or 8 months ago, maybe a year ago. I don't know. And it's been basically about yada, 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 his brother and Vince McMahon. So Lee Cole said that Vince McMahon would be indicted by October 2024. This was leading up from the beginning of his channel, that he had inside information. This was going to happen. Jimmy, guess what happened?
I hear crickets.
That's exactly right. I call bullshit. Okay, Johnny Roz has Alzheimer's. We already spoke about that. You just heard Jason Knight say he's pretty sharp for someone that has Alzheimer's, right? So another wasted moment. Badmouth Vince Russo in episodes, right? Because that's the other game he plays. He goes on the attack, and then he goes, I'll debate you. I'd love to debate you. I don't know how he got a hold of Vince Russo. Russo was on the show. Now he's best friends with Russo. Congratulations, okay? Another gimmick. And then his partner, again, just sits there and goes, yep. Claims the show is about his brother Tom Cole and the career of Tom Cole. He doesn't challenge anybody. Do you know what triggered me, Jimmy? And you know what triggered me again is when someone presents themselves as this, and then they have the opportunity to be this. Right. I could sit here and talk to you about the injustices that were done to Mike Monty, right? I can do this to you all day long. I could say this person did this to me, this person did that to me. But when you have the person like you had Mario Mancini on, doesn't ask him one question in regards to his brother, who Mancini was around to. What do you understand what bothers me? Does that make sense to you?
Well, why didn't he?
Because it's all bullshit. It's just nonsense.
So that means that there
so
is.
He's upset
so
at me.
That means that there is no journalistic integrity.
Bingo, bango, boongo. That's it.
That's what that means. There.
And it means you're just full of shit. That's all it means. And again, like the guy, nice guy, good heart, but it's a game to him. It's a game.
Don't know the guy.
It's not a game to me. This is not a game to me.
Don't know the guy. Do not know the guy the way you do. But all I know is that every once in a while, we're being called all sorts of things. So why exactly would I give two fucks about somebody like that?
It's a good point.
I don't know him the way you do. I don't speak to him the way you do. All I know is that once in a while he reappears, and it's usually not for a good reason. So I really don't give two fucks.
Well, I'll tell you this. I'll tell you this.
He's not getting my negative energy. I'm not wasting it.
This will be the last time I ever bring the guy up. The only reason I brought him up this week is because his little parrot was on our channel just fucking going and, whatever. And I think Bruce, who watches Lee Cole on a regular basis, by the way. ESO,
right.
Claims to hate him, but watches him all the time. I don't know. I don't know what I want to say about that. But all
right.
Anyway, Bruce tried to get on with them because Bruce had a lot to say. I'm not saying that Bruce likes them. All I'm saying is Bruce watches them a lot, at least from what I know. And Bruce couldn't get on because internet service. But the parrot was claiming on our channel that I have a secret account or we have a secret account and ESO is the account and we're trying to harass them. And I just dude, I just had enough of the guy. I mean, Jimmy, I don't know if you read the comments. In fact, I think YouTube took his comments down. I don't, you know me, I don't take down any comments.
I didn't see anything, but I can't say that I've been.
Basically, what he was trying to say is that we suck at this. We've been doing this for 15 years. We suck.
No, we haven't.
The Lee Cole's channel, or which he thinks is his channel, which it's not. I'll repeat. Is going to kill it. And let's be honest, I call a spade a spade. Lee Cole is killing it with this channel. I don't know how.
Okay.
I don't know why.
All right.
But it's happening, right?
Okay.
And he, he was just all over our page, calling me fat, or if he ran into me in person, I would shake in my boots, which.
Right.
Oh my God, dude!
Dude, why are you? Dude, don't be indulging in that nonsense. If look, dude, it's the old. Like we said, I said it off the air a million times, and I've said it on the air. There's punching up and there's punching down. If Disco Inferno wants to mention us on his podcast, well, guess what? That's what I call punching up. If Lee Cole has something to say, or even worse, Lee Cole's puppet, what? Ned the narrator again? Do you think that that's punching down? I think that's punching down.
Well,
I don't punch down.
Let me ask you this one question.
Not interested.
If you're Lee Cole and you hear me last week challenge his journalistic integrity, would you consider that backstabbing? It's you now, right? We're friends. You have your own channel. You're in the Lee Cole position. I'm Monty. I make that statement. Is that backstabbing?
Look, if he wants to go back and forth like that after all this time, if I were you, I'd be bored. I'd be like, really, dude? We're going to go back and forth like this all the time? The difference is on the fact that, you're here for you're like the instant gratification guy, and we've got a library people are going to be looking up for like the next 50 years. because that's the facts.
All right.
Our content has staying power, Mike. It has staying power. Interviews going back with Patera, Backlund, Valentine, Steamboat, freaking Magnum TA, Tommy Rich, Manny Fernandez laughing it up on the couch, performing Rap is Crap for Barry Windham. Our content will remain. It will be interesting to generations from now that will want to look at it. Your temporary birdcage fodder doesn't mean anything here. I don't give a fuck. That's my advice to you. Don't give a fuck.
You know what it is, dude? It's like two different planets. You got two washed up wrestlers who are clowns, right, in real life, and then you have two fucking nobodies, right? I don't know, man. It's to me, it's all crazy. Anyway, little news item. The suspect in, if anyone doesn't know, there was a man who fatally burnt someone to death on a New York City subway. He was an illegal immigrant in this country for the second time. The lady on the train, we did have some misinformation at one point. She seemed to be homeless. In fact, they're going to have to use dental records or some sort of DNA. But Zapetis Khalil, 33, accused of setting fire to an unidentified woman who was asleep on the F train. If you guys have seen the video, I actually had the video. I sent it to Jimmy.
Yeah.
It's probably the most disturbing thing I've seen a lot of shit, and it's maybe the most disturbing thing I've ever seen in my life. Jimmy, we never have talked about it. We started to talk about it before the first show, but we had to stop. Tell me what your thoughts are, man.
My first thought was, is this real? It amazed me that somebody could burn to death standing, holding onto a rail. That was the first thing I thought to myself. Once the news broke and I realized, oh shit, this is real. I'm in security now, and if I'm not mistaken, I see several security guards walk past the scene. All I see them doing is radioing. When we were little, we were told stop, drop, and roll. We don't stand there like going, oh man, holding our cell phone, recording the whole thing, going, this is at the train station. Well, thanks for that description, asshole. I never would have figured out that the woman is burning to death on the fucking train.
Sorry to laugh.
Thanks a lot. That's so fucking informative, Walter Cronkite. You know what I mean? While you're standing there watching somebody burn to death, and then the guy who actually did it is the only one even close to her. What the fuck's he doing? He's fanning her with a blanket? What the fuck is going on? Whatever happened to stop, drop, and roll? I'm so confused watching this. Society absolutely sucks. I mean, I don't know how you take the train now. How do you take the train? You got this lunatic who doesn't belong here in the first fucking place. The very fucking people who were like, oh no, Trump, don't build the wall. Keep them out. Well, leave them alone. Does this happen if this fucking shit is not in our fucking country? Fucking slime ball lights this innocent homeless who's already suffering. God only knows her story. God only knows. It's lit on fire instantly. And I read somewhere here, Mike, forgive me, because now we'll be going backwards on the script. I read somewhere that the worst thing that this monster gets is life. Life. I want you burned alive on public television.
By the way, this monster that you said was homeless already, so going to jail is probably to jail is probably an upgrade for this guy, right?
I would say so.
Here's the thing, though.
Why are you taking somebody else out with you?
A little contradictory, all right? I'll play devil's advocate now.
There is no devil's advocate here, but go ahead.
Recently, that Marine who people were being threatened on the train put that guy in a chokehold, and then
very
the guy ended up dying.
Very interesting.
That Marine went, basically lost a year of his life, finally was let go, thank God, right? But that all being said, right, he lost a year of his life. Are we at a point in this country when someone's on fire, maybe we're afraid to even help because, God forbid, you might have put the wrong clothing on them, and all of a sudden they're like, you're the blame for the fire. You know what I mean?
No, because before the Marine, people were doing this before the Marine. People were just standing there watching atrocities. We've been talking about this for years on this show, Mike. This is not the first time. This is just the worst time. This is the worst.
Jimmy,
You should be saying yup.
That's what you need to do. You should say, yes, Mike, you're right.
Yes, Mike, you're right.
Yeah. That's the way it's done. Just say, yes, you're right. No matter whatever I say, you just say, yes, you're right.
What?
All right, you're not even getting it. Well, keep going, Jimmy.
I'm like, what? Yes, you're right. I'm like, what the hell's going on here? No,
I was
it's
trying to
just
make
fucking...
you into. I was trying to make you into a parrot. That's all.
Oh, I'm not. Well, good luck to. No
Or
wonder I
puppet.
didn't. No wonder I didn't get it.
Hey, you like
You
my
know what I
puppet
mean?
imitation?
Yeah, I do like that, but no wonder I didn't get it. You know, I'm too much of a free thinker. I'm like, what? Or what are you talking about?
Yes, Jimmy. You are right, Jimmy.
Well, thank God you're not like that on a regular basis. This show would be absolutely useless, like the previous show you keep watching. Who cares? Fuck the marionette. I don't give a fuck.
So me and my wife were going to the city because we went to the WWF WWE winter thing at Madison Square Garden.
The winter thing.
I think whatever, their holiday show, right? So it's probably the first WWE show I've gone to in 30 years at the Garden, right?
Oh my God.
But
that's a long time.
My wife was exhausted on the train going there. I said, just take a nap. She goes, what? And she meant it. Why? So someone could light me on fucking fire?
Okay.
She was right. Like that. She's like, I'm not fucking sleeping.
I was surprised you took the trade. That's very brave of you. That's like me going to the Jet game after 9/11. I thought about it that day. I'm like, what am I doing? Should I do this?
Dude, I'm not scared of anything except for.
Yeah. I'm going to come back in the afterlife as a useless marionette. Ew.
My name's Renee. Hello. My name's Renee. All right, anyway.
My show will end you. End you. You will be ended. You will be absorbed. Yeah, no. That's a bad gimmick, Mike. That one's canceled.
I love that gimmick, dude. I love it. Anyway, as I'm going into the city, I'm thinking yesterday was what, 41? Do I have it right, Jimmy? 40 in December 26th, 1983.
Yeah.
The great Bob Backlund.
Yeah.
Lost his belt to the Iron Sheik after a 2,135-day reign.
Inoki not included.
Yeah, well, come on, stop that. How dare you?
What do you mean, how dare I? It happened. I read about it.
You know what?
How dare you?
The Intercontinental title also changed hands and San whatever the fuck it was.
Yeah, we know. I know. Go ahead.
But anyway, Backlund, I want, it's just like it hit me, and I'm like, I'm going to the Garden 41 years later. Right?
Yeah.
And I started thinking memories. So I was like, man, I can't wait. Jimmy, what were your memories of the day Bob Backlund finally lost that WWF title?
Absolutely shocked, because for years we had wanted him to lose the title, but we had always wanted him to lose the title to someone who we found to be obviously worthy, at least in our eyes as fans, like Valentine or Morocco or even Slaughter when he was in the Cobra Clutch height, the Cobra Clutch Challenge. Slaughter would have been a great bad guy champion. So we had seen a lot of great bad guys come through. So when all of a sudden, after all these years, our entire junior high throughout our high school, for God's sakes, almost, we're in high school when it finally happens. It's like, oh my God, we've been waiting since freaking 7th grade for this to stop. You know, maybe even 6th grade. I can't remember. I was already watching wrestling when I met you. So I'm probably like in 5th grade already dealing with Bob Backlund for all I know. You know? And then all of a sudden, Arnold Skolin throws in the towel and the new champion is the Iron Sheik.
Yeah.
I was shocked. I figured the Iron Sheik would never be the guy that would wind up being the guy. Not Valentine, not Morocco, not all those other greats I met. Shit, Stan Hansen. I remember when Stan Hansen came in. None of them could beat Bob Backlund. God dang it. When is it going to happen? Howdy doody. I've had enough. And then all of a sudden, Arnold Skolin throws in the towel, and here's your new champion, the Iron Sheik. I was shocked as shit, Mike. I was shocked as shit.
I remember too, Jimmy, was that Blassie was ever since I started watching wrestling. Blassie was chasing that title.
Always.
And as rigged as wrestling could be, you could tell that Blassie was generally like
thrilled
thrilled that he
Yep.
finally had this world champion. And I
Finally
almost
got
felt
one.
like Blassie and the Sheik had this ultimate bond for the rest of their lives because
Right.
they actually
Right.
did this together.
Right. Well, Freddie Blassie, the wrestler, was already an all timer way before our day. Freddie Blassie, the wrestler, had been on Dick Van Dyke. You know, I mean, Freddie Blassie was a big star when he was a wrestler in his time. His managerial career was freaking fantastic, but like you said, he had never ever gotten to the big belt, never. And as great as he was always part of the unholy trinity of Albano, Wizard, and Blassie. But Albano had his world champion, Wizard had his world champion, but Freddie never had. And you're right, Freddie Blassie was thrilled because he had finally done for his managerial career what he had done for his professional career. He had hit that highest of high levels. You know, Freddie Blassie is a wrestling legend, and then Freddie Blassie became a managerial legend, and the rest is history. But that had to be one of his greatest moments of his career, wrestler or manager. Period.
A lot happened that day because I was thinking on the train like how happy Sheik and Blassie were.
Really?
That Backlund interview when they, with Lord Alfred Hayes, and Lord Alfred Hayes, if anyone ever saw that interview, it's probably Bob Backlund. One of his great interviews was at the end.
Right.
Even though Lord Alfred Hayes tried to fuck up that, I don't even know what that fucking guy was doing. He almost ruined it. He was fumbling, but that was to me, and I think we asked Bob when he was in studio, as real and as emotional as one human being could get.
Yeah, he was very upset. He was very intense. He was very angry. You could see that he was angry, that it was his time was up. You know, you could see it. We didn't know at the time that Hulk was right around the corner. We didn't have the internet.
We didn't.
We did not know that Sheik was going to be nothing more than a transitional champion at the time. So I was very shocked.
Jimmy, I just remember Bob just saying, "I let down the fans. I let down." My God,
right.
Very,
it was a great promo. He was definitely disappointed.
I don't even think it was a promo, dude. I think it was reality. It was
that's
just
what I'm saying.
It was reality.
I mean, I think he was truly down. I think he realized that it's going to turn. Everything's going to turn. He obviously must have known. We probably covered it in the interview. I don't remember everything about the interview, but he had to have known Hogan was around the corner, and Hogan was going to represent something completely different. The days of the days of kayfabe, Hulk Hogan is not tearing down that wall, but Hulk Hogan is opening up that door for eventually others to tear down that wall. To a traditionalist like a Bob Backlund, who grew up under, before him, Bruno or Luthez or Gagne. We could go on and on and on. Bob Backlund there is being very real. Because to be technical about it, Mike, Bob Backlund is the end of that era.
Yeah.
And that's Bob Backlund basically saying, in his own way, goodbye. When you look back on it, I didn't think about it at the time, but in a way, it's true. It is what happened. The only way for Bob to ever come back was to come back as what, Mike? Mr. Backlund. He had to be completely different.
There was a fan that said Bob Backlund was so boring until he came back in the 90s.
Right.
You know what? I think as a fan, again, we hated him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it's so funny. It's really not funny because it just shows you how society is and what our mindset was. Mm-hmm. This guy was as good as people you're supposed to be, right? He's a good guy. Yes. Never wants to do anything wrong. Blah, blah, blah. And here we are rooting against him because for whatever reason.
Right.
But when you look back at it now, to have the same mindset to go, he sucked. He's boring. He was this.
We never said that to each other. We never. We never said he sucked or he's boring. We just didn't root for his character. Yeah. We took him totally seriously. I took him totally seriously. I always did.
Well, there were things that got me mad, like when Slaughter whipped him, and he's like, "Well, golly gee, Vince, I'm gonna get that Sergeant Slaughter." No, dude, you just got whipped. Like, be mad, get angry.
Right. Yeah, they did play him a little too perfectly, but then again, that was the way he was guided. Somebody could have whispered in his ear. I'm pretty sure Junior at that point had enough power during the time we were watching to whisper in his ear, give us more.
I
Unless
think
it's hardwood.
Junior's first thing was just get this guy out of here because I'm
Right.
not going to be able to
I
go
agree.
anywhere with it.
I agree.
All right, so I go to the Garden.
Yeah.
Ask me any questions you want, right? Unscripted.
Well,
I'll answer everything you got. We'll discuss it.
First of all,
Here I am, 57,
Yeah.
Madison Square Garden.
Where are you sitting?
Haven't been in the 30s. I was in like the Lexix Suites. I was in a suite.
Okay, so you're somewhere up in the middle somewhere?
Yeah, like in the middle, yeah.
Okay, cool.
The advantage of the suite is food, your
Yes.
own bathroom,
Yes.
and you're not sitting next to someone that
And
smells
beer.
like dog shit.
You got beer, right?
Got wine, beer, whatever. Yeah.
Good,
So-
good, good. Okay,
and it's
good.
free. Free's
Right,
good. Free's
Right,
free's
free's very good. Right. Okay. Was the place packed?
So it's a really crazy type of show. Really a lot of production, Jimmy, much different than when you and I used to go. So
Right.
the back end of the Garden is blacked out because they have a
Right.
giant TV screen,
I
the
got it.
ramp, everything
Yep,
else.
I
But
got it.
the rest of the arena sold out.
Packed.
Packed.
So it's safe to say that the Garden that usually maxes out somewhere between 20 to 22 probably has 18 to 19, and the other part is
Fair enough.
Tapered off. Okay,
Yes,
very
fair
good.
enough.
So you got a packed crowd. Did you have a good card? Because I'm assuming that Roman is not there. It's the holidays.
Roman's not there. Cody's not there. So I will
Right.
give you the card as far as I remember it. It was the New Day, but it was Xavier against Alpha Academy, the fat guy. I'm having brain freezes. Right
Otis?
now. Otis, yeah.
The fat guy. Look at you. Okay, go ahead.
Escobar against LA Knight.
Yeah, this is not exciting me. Go on. Not exciting me.
Let me see here. Dominic against Seth Rollins.
All right, that's interesting.
The Wyatt Six in the 8-man tag against carrying crosses.
Yeah,
group.
I got you. Yeah, okay, go on.
CM Punk against Ludwig.
I don't like that matchup. Go on. I like CM Punk being there, but go on.
Liv Morgan against Io Sky for the women's championship.
That's cool. All right, so you've got like a 3.
Braun Breaker against Sami Zayn in a 2 out of 3 falls intercontinental title match.
I like that. That's good. Okay.
And then the main event, Gunther against Damian Priest in a steel cage.
All right, there's a handful of decent matches. How did you find it to be? Did you really give 2 shits or? Yeah.
So I try to look at out of today's fans' eyes. So number one, big problem for me, right? Cody Rhodes isn't there. Roman Reigns isn't there, right? Roman Reigns is my guy.
Right.
Cody Rhodes, I'm not a huge fan of, but he's big time,
champion.
right?
Right.
He's big time.
Mm-hmm.
CM Punk is there though, right? They made sure they gave you CM Punk.
Right.
So the first match, Escobar against LA Knight. LA Knight was so over to that Garden crowd, dude. It was crazy.
Okay.
It was frigging crazy.
Right.
Match was very good. Escobar's
Escobar could wrestle a paper bag.
He's a very good wrestler, and you know what? LA Knight's very good too. So
all right, on paper, I'm not like whatever. I'm assuming LA Knight won.
Yeah, good opening match. LA Knight wins.
Okay, that's why I'm not like, oh my god, what a great match. Whatever. Go ahead.
Now I'm gonna ask you to tell me how this went. Sami Zayn against Braun Breaker. 2 out of 3 falls intercontinental title. Who wins the first fall?
Oh, I'm not going to start with who wins what. I would
just
assume
just tell me who wins the first fall. Think with your mind. Stop thinking. Remember you always say think with your mind.
I think with my mind they might have given it to Sammy, but you know
that's they did. So Sammy wins
so that means
fall.
that Braun takes the next 2, or something ends in the third fall where somebody runs in.
So Braun takes the next 2.
Okay, fine.
So they give you that idea that there may be a title change, which you knew wasn't going to happen.
Of
right?
course not. No, right. All right.
Another good match. Zayn, excellent. Braun Breaker, future star. Good match, right? But again, for me as a fan, not digging it. You know what I mean?
It was just there.
Wyatt Six came out, big entrance, pretty cool entrance, very cool entrance. They came out to play Wyatt's song.
They need that.
Carrying Cross. I don't know. I'm not. You know what, dude? I've given up. I've just given up on that guy.
It's just there. That's the problem.
And his wife was in there, and she lost to Nick, whatever fucking name is.
I could care less.
Mr. Abigail.
Yeah, I could care less. I don't care.
Seth Rollins, Dominic Mysterio. I think I told you, really good match. Dominic.
I believe it.
Dominic can wrestle.
Dominic yes, he can. Dominic
Seth Rollins can wrestle. But here's the one thing I got out of it. You ready?
Yeah.
Seth Rollins, now he's a good guy. He's wrestling the biggest bad guy they got in that company that everybody hates.
Right.
And the CM Punk chants nonstop.
Right.
And I told you my wife hates CM Punk.
Oh well.
I'm not a big CM Punk guy.
Oh well.
My wife brings up a lot of points, Guy doesn't wrestle in 10 years and he's still over as a motherfucker. But you know what I said to my wife? And I realized it last night.
Yeah.
No one's dethroning this guy. He is, there's maybe one guy and he's probably on my back wall. And I got to be honest with you, if I was a betting man on this, I would say that no one will get the fans' love over CM Punk, which to me is just utterly crazy. But let me ask you this, Jimmy, as a human being.
Yeah.
Okay, it's fair to say CM Punk has a bit of an attitude, right?
Oh,
always had.
Yeah, he's got an edge.
He's had a lot of problems with a lot of people. Fair enough. Is this all fair?
Yeah, that's fair. He's had
for whatever reason. There's a lot of different sides. Like every story is not black and white. There's always gray. Mm-hmm. Here's my thing.
Yeah,
he seems so happy now. It seems fake to me.
Nope.
How do you turn it off?
Because you can.
All this hatred, all these years.
You can.
And you just came out of AEW where you were just having millions of problems.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're here, back in the place you hated. And you're just loving life.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, I'm not saying it can't be done, but as me being me,
it's
hard for me to see.
Let me ask you a question. All right. Maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. I don't know. I'm not inside CM Punk. I don't freaking know you. That sounds horrible. I don't really know, what's going on in his head. Here's the bottom line. On a business level, was it time for CM Punk to come home? The answer is yes. On a business level. All right. So whether he's faking it or not, maybe you're onto something. I don't know. You could be. You very well could be. I don't see it. What I see is somebody who once upon a time started humble, became huge under Vince, worked his ass off and had a difference of opinion with Vince, and went his own way. Okay? What he discovered along the way, he ultimately returned to because he discovered along the way, what the fuck am I doing? They're still chanting my name back at home where I made my name in the first place. I'm sure this must have run through his mind at some point. Seeing how when the inmates run the asylum definitely woke him up because that's what he witnessed in AEW. Let's be honest. CM Punk was raised in Ring of Honor. The inmates did not run the asylum in Ring of Honor. Okay, they didn't. Then he gets to Vince. Vince runs Vince's company. We both love Vince for that reason, right, Mike?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So he sees the McMahon model, and then he moves on, and he does other things. He tries MMA. He fails, but at least he tried. He said it himself. He owned up to it. You remember the night when he finally came home. He mentioned, yeah, I tried it. I failed. So what? Took care of that right away. He witnessed what happens when the inmates run the asylum. AEW never realized what they had. And you and I used to discuss it, and I would say AEW does not realize what they have. Because when they actually got that 1.2 million views on his debut, which even you said to me, shit, it's a pretty cool debut, When they got that 1.2, they should have realized who was in their fucking locker room. And all those guys that, you have guys you don't like. You know what I don't like? I don't like the Young Bucks fucking telling CM Punk what the fuck to do. I don't like fucking Kenny Omega telling CM Punk ever what to do. You wrestled a doll. I'm with Jim Cornette on that one. Okay? I never want to fucking hear any of those guys. What are they? They're the elite? You're not the elite. CM Punk is the only guy in the history of professional wrestling that could leave the WWE, the WWF, the WWF, and have his name consistently chanted for years and years and years. So whether he's genuinely happy to be home, my guess, honestly, Mike, is that he is. He is. He is glad to be home. And he realizes he's a mentor and he gets to be one here. And he's not going to have the young bucks telling him what to do. And he's not going to have to deal with people like Adam Hangman Page. Because Triple H will squash that shit in a second. It's dollars, right, Mikey? At the end of the day, CM Punk is dollars. You don't let Adam Page and fucking Perry's kid fuck with your number one moneymaker, Tony. You don't do that. So every last thing CM Punk has done since he's gotten here, he's even turned you as a person. You know, so maybe
it's funny that you brought that up because now I'm starting to think of it. You know what, dude? You're really smart. Because as you're speaking, I'm thinking like the WNBA, Caitlin Clark comes in there.
Right.
All of a sudden, their attendance is through the roof.
Yep.
They're getting limos and plane rides.
Right.
And they all want to put down Caitlin Clark. That was like you said with AEW. It's like you've got this gold that's going to make you. Do you remember? Look, we've had a million wrestlers on this show. What was the one thing they used to always say? They didn't give a shit what Hogan did.
Right.
Hogan was making them money. He was the golden goose.
Right.
You kissed Hogan's ass.
Right.
And this is maybe the problem I have with society. Forget about wrestling.
Right.
Is it's always about the stuff that's maybe not so important.
Right. I agree. We make way too much out of absolutely nothing. Can I sum it up any easier than that, Mike? I'm not sure I can.
You had CM Punk in AEW.
You fucked
and
up,
if you
man.
just would have controlled it, Tony,
you fucked up.
You're right. You would have been in a much better spot than you are
fucked
now.
up. You listen to Mercedes Monet. She's obviously getting whatever she wants over there. How's that going, Mike? The one that you thought could possibly be a needle mover. How's that needle moving?
It's not moving at all, man.
It's not moving at fucking all. All right? Because there
Which,
is
by the way,
you
know, Saraya and Mercedes Monet, I'm in shock. I really thought that they were needle movers. And you know what? That's an example of the machine being the most important part of it, right?
And it's also disrespectful to the 4 horsewomen. And I know that they supported them. I get it.
Well, I don't
Remember
know.
they were there.
I don't know about that, dude. All I'm saying is
I know what they were to women's wrestling back almost 10 years. It's getting scary, Mike. But guess what? NXT was selling out like in 2017. And I remember what those girls were building. They were building what you went running to go see.
Jimmy, I think the big problem is that AEW doesn't have enough rivals. There's not enough rivals. There's too much mixing of wrestling.
Right.
Like everybody wrestles each other. It's like listen, I'm not going to evaluate AEW, but you know what? Your points about CM Punk are right. And you know what? The guy can carry the company. Now, the question I do have, though, and I said this to you earlier.
Yeah.
Is he looked very old to me in the ring. Now, I don't know if it was because of Ludwig. Now, again, stupid for me to say, being that he came off one of the greatest fucking matches against Drew McIntyre.
Absolutely.
And that was a great match.
Right.
But to me, Jimmy, he looked old. He did.
To me, he looked like he was working with someone who's fairly new to the one-on-one contest, Mike. And that's no knock on Ludwig Kaiser, who, by the way, I dig the character. I still think he has the weirdest build I've ever seen.
And my wife's like, that guy looks weird. I'm like,
yeah, like when you see him from the side, his like stomach is like literally you can put your hands around it. It's like
it doesn't really matter, dude. He's got Tiffany Stratton, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, we should just shut up and quit while we're behind.
Exactly.
Or he's behind. You know
exactly.
What I mean? You know, but honestly, I just think it's a matter of Punk working with someone who's still green one-on-one. He's usually in a tag team situation where he's run in, you know, so he's new at this. Is he going to be like super successful? I'm not so sure. I think you have higher hopes for him than I do. I don't see much there. So I'm not going to, say Punk is slow.
Like I said, the wrestling right now is in a world of tweeners, and eventually it's going to hurt the industry. You've got to have good versus evil. That's what the premise is about. You know, the tweener thing doesn't work after a while, and that's a problem. I want to also tell you that when New Day came out,
there's no tweener. There's no tweener going on there.
My God. Yeah, that place was booing them out the door. And listen, they obliged. They ripped New York apart. They ripped its fans apart. They did
Right.
a really solid job.
Well, all you got to do is start with the sports teams, and we're finished.
Yeah.
I mean, let's face it. You know.
And then I'll go with this one, Jimmy. Io Sky, who is friggin' awesome wrestler,
Yep.
against Liv Morgan.
Yep.
Here's how I look at Liv Morgan.
Uh-oh.
Great women's champion.
I
Entrance rules.
Yes.
She's got the heater.
Yes.
Gets in the ring.
Oh, here we go.
Not very good.
You got to stop.
End of match. End of match. Fantastic. Listen, the character, A+.
Yeah, but
The
you're making it out
wrestler-
like she can't wrestle at all. Is that
No,
what
she
you're-
can't, because she can't. Jimmy, I'm sorry. I
Not at
watched
all.
enough now.
I'm not going to go with not at all.
Look, some of the worst matches this year have
Don't tell
had
me
her
any match
involved.
involving Nia Jax. I don't want to hear about it. There's no fluidity when you're in the ring with Nia Jax. Next.
She's terrible matches with Rhea Ripley. Terrible. They were terrible. And
I can
Rhea
see why.
is
I can
top
see
notch.
why.
Okay.
Yeah, right. Oh, with the right opponent. I don't think it's a good matchup for the styles at all.
But again, Jimmy, like you
I
said,
agree,
with
though.
CM
I'm not
Punk,
disagreeing.
if we're running a company,
Right.
I'm doing exactly what the WWE is doing. She's my
Right.
champion. I'm not. I could care less. She can't wrestle. Honestly,
All
I
right.
could care less.
I have a higher opinion of her in the ring than you do. I think she's serviceable.
Well, sometimes I think you give.
Now,
you give a
now
little
ask
too
me
much.
what an elite wrestler is, and I'm sure you'll agree with my list.
Well, again, I
that
think I've
she's
been around you
serviceable.
long enough. I know what you think
Yeah.
serviceable is, and
She's okay.
I don't think she's serviceable. I think
Really?
she's below average. And
All right.
again, that being said,
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't change a thing. Like I
What
could
is
care less.
what
Let me put it
is
this
it-
way.
What
Oh,
is
good.
it about her in the ring that you think she does very, very poorly? Let's just get to the basics.
I think when she tries to go beyond the simple basics of wrestling, she
Mhm.
seems to find herself in a lot of trouble. She makes a lot of mistakes. She slows down too much. You could see the difference between an Io Sky
Oh, there's no
and a Liv
comparison.
Morgan. You know what I'm
But
saying?
there's no comparison. Look, if Io Sky is your barometer, now you're talking about a whole. Io Sky is a special kind of wrestler. Okay, like she may be on paper like a Rob Van Dam to women's wrestling. This woman is unbelievable.
All right, so let me put
All
it
right.
this way. I've established that I think the worst WWE women's wrestler would be the best AEW women's wrestler in that place. Okay? So
More
if
than
I
likely.
was to say
Yeah,
that Tony
more than
Storm
likely.
is their number one wrestler, I
Right.
would say I don't know, Shanna Baszler would.
Shut up,
is-
Blazer. Knock your shit out. What are you
No,
talking about?
but I know I'm trying to think of someone that you don't consider a very good women's wrestler.
Well, let me tell you who I don't think is necessarily an amazing in-ring wrestler, and I could care less. You know what I mean? We're both fans of Liv Morgan, right?
Right.
I'm a fan, and I know you are, of Chelsea Green. I don't think Chelsea Green in the ring is that great. You know, when I watch her wrestle, I'm like, oh boy, she's got a while to go still.
She's okay.
You
She's
know,
okay.
like I
she's
said,
she's serviceable. to
she's
me.
serviceable. So's Liv. Why do you think Liv has been?
Well, I
had
don't
all
feel.
these-
I feel like Liv makes a lot of mistakes in the ring. I just feel like. Look,
I
I'll tell
don't
you what.
know.
The one thing I will say, of all
Yeah.
the matches, that was
Yeah.
the match I enjoyed the most. Though I
Right.
will say that.
Well,
I'll tell
then
you
there's
why.
that.
The
You know?
women do it right. They were
Well-
doing arm bars. They were doing rest holds. They,
Right.
they were. They
Mhm.
had you. And to me, I really enjoyed that. I
Right.
really did. And
Right.
I don't know, man. I came out of there because my wife said to me, she goes, "What's wrong?" I'm like, "I don't know." And she goes, "I think you respect." This is what my wife said to me. She said, "I think you respect real athletes more than you do wrestlers." And I said, "No, because I think they are real athletes. I think they're
They
incredible."
are. Of
But
course.
here's the thing. I started thinking about me when I grew up as a kid and
Right.
watching these other kids, right?
Mm-hmm. I
And then-
knew the same other kids. What other kids are you speaking of? Our high school days? What are you talking
I'm
about?
talking about other kids. Like I'm watching kids in the audience from the box. You know what I mean? And I was
okay,
thinking, like,
okay.
when I was not growing up, but when you and I met and you brought me back, you brought me into wrestling, right?
Right.
I remember tell a quick story, right? My father was a big body, like big lifter, right? Big guy. And I was a good athlete, but I wasn't like muscular. I wasn't huge. I wasn't
You were in
intimidating.
good shape, though. Go
I
ahead.
was in good shape. That's
You
fair
are.
and fine.
Yeah.
But the one thing I would always say is when I started watching wrestling, when Don Morocco came on the screen, that's why I always loved Morocco. He was huge. He was boisterous. And I was like, holy shit, I want to be that guy. You know what I mean? I want to be Don Morocco.
I get it.
I started pounding the weights. I was fucking killing myself. And that's why I think I said to you earlier, like, I don't understand the wrestling fan that like doesn't want to look like the wrestler. Like you gotta, you know.
Well,
so
here's the deal, because you brought up something fascinating. Okay, I remember those days. I remember when you fell in love with weightlifting. And if you go back and you really remember, in the beginning, I used to work out with you.
Yeah.
Right? Now, you just said, who was your favorite? Don Morocco. Why? Because he had that look, that vein, those arms, kaboom, blah, blah, blah. Who was my favorite? My favorite was the truck driver looking dude, Greg Valentine, who was a big dude, but
big
didn't
motherfucker
look,
though, dude.
right?
He was
but didn't look like, Morocco, right? So as you were starting to get heavier and heavier with the weights, you may not recall this, but I ever so politely tapped out. I was like, man, I can't do this. This is fucking nuts. Like I never pushed myself as hard as you did with the weightlifting, and then I started to think about it. And it's amazing I became a Hogan fan because I never, ever, wrestlers to me come in all different forms and sizes. If you're truly
but you
believable.
You weren't a small guy though, Jimmy. It wasn't.
Yeah, I know, but
like
I wasn't you though. You were not as
but
small as you think you were.
my point is I'm watching these guys and I'm like,
right.
Who do they look under? Like, to be fair, Escobar's like 5'4".
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't know if he's 5'4". I might be exaggerating.
Yeah, but the whole business has changed, and we've seen what's happened in other companies. Not so much in Vince's company, because Mike does still make right for the most part. Let's be honest, But in a lot of these companies, you got these undersized guys. I mean, honestly, who's an exception to the rule? Finn Balor. Finn Balor in the old days, we would have been looking at him like, what Killer Khan would have done to Finn Balor?
Would have killed him.
I mean, it would have been over in like 2 seconds. Everything's changed. So who do the kids look up to today? I don't know. Let's think about it for a minute. I bet you a lot of them love Roman,
But Roman, it looks friggin' sick.
The part.
You know what I mean?
He looks the part.
Even Cody
that we're used to.
Yeah.
Well, Cody looks the part, absolutely. Cody looks like a modern day face.
Think about Wahoo McDaniel. Now, Wahoo McDaniel wasn't a bodybuilder, but when you used to see him in a magazine, the dude's arms were like this. They were huge.
Wahoo McDaniel.
His legs were like this.
So Wahoo McDaniel to me was like the first time I looked at Samoa Joe. I'm like, oh my God, it's an angry tree.
Yes.
It's like, holy shit, how do you stop that? You don't. The old school guys, by the way, all this extreme wrestling stuff, and I agree. During the show, once in a while, Karen watches all our show. She loves the show. She's very supportive of the show, right? So when we had Cocaine on, she sent a text, and she said, when Wahoo used to get in the ring with Greg Valentine Sr., the beating that those two would give each other, and then his feud with Junior. It's like, could you imagine how long some of these guys today would last in a ring with Johnny Valentine Sr.? Wahoo?
They would be dead.
Greg Valentine? What about Ray Stevens? What would Ray Stevens do to today's cartwheel specialist? I mean,
dude, I kind of feel like the old
Dick
days.
Slater.
Like if you got your ass, when they used to say you got your ass kicked in the bar, you were fucking fired.
Right.
Like you didn't want someone challenging you. That's what I feel like, Jimmy, it's lost it for me a little bit, to be honest with you. I feel like there's too much high flying. I love the women. I've said it over and over again. And again, I know a lot of Liv Morgan fans out there, and you're a Liv Morgan fan. I am too.
I am.
But I'm just calling it as I see it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And can I point out that the Blue Thunder Bomb never, ever, ever results in a 3 count? Am I allowed to bring that up?
No, you are. You are.
Because every time Sami Zayn, that stupid move. Every time Sami Zayn does that fucking move, it's 1-2. Are we ever going to get a 3 out of that stupid move? And he still can't beat Drew McIntyre either, by the way. Is this a storyline? Are we going somewhere with this? 10-0.
10-0.
He's 0-10 against fucking Drew. It's like, when do you quit? Is that going to become a storyline, Mike? I mean, who do I root for there? I'm obviously rooting for Drew, but are you excited about that feud? Not particularly.
Not particularly, no.
Right. Where are we going? We got Netflix is around the corner.
Let's talk about that real quick. But real quick, I didn't put a picture up, but Dane, I got the guy's name. Hold on
Jack
a second.
Dane.
Jack Dane, right?
Godzilla.
Right. By the way, huge dude. He died at 48 years old. From what I understand, he had a heart attack.
Horrible.
Back in November.
Horrible.
I never had heard of the guy, Jimmy. I got to be honest with you. When I saw him, I was like, this guy's
I have. I love Jack Dane. I love him. I might have mentioned him in passing to you over the years. I only got to see him in NWA. That's how I know him from. And I looked at that guy and I said, does Mike know about this guy? This guy has a build on him. And they called him Godzilla. And it was fitting because he'd come into the ring and he would crush you. You know what he was? Remember Nathan Jones, that fucking total failure?
Yes.
He was everything that was right about the Nathan Jones thing.
Wow.
But bigger and badder. Jack Dane fucking ruled. I loved Godzilla. That sucks. I don't know how he never got to the WWE. Maybe there was an attitude thing. I have no clue. None whatsoever. But it's very sad, and 48, that sucks. And yeah, I remember Godzilla very well, Mike. Very well. He had the build.
Well, rest in peace. Rest in peace.
Oh, yeah.
Jimmy, you mentioned Netflix 2 weeks away. They are making announcements on Netflix now. They're also going to have special series like Top 10, documentaries. So that'll be awfully fun. But here's my concern, dude.
Yeah.
And wrestling's been real hot. We've been around long enough. We've seen wrestling rise, fall, rise again, fall, rise again, fall.
Right.
According to WrestleNomics, Saturday night's main event averaged 1.590, 1.5, let's call it 1.6 million viewers.
Right.
And posted a .42 in the key 18 to 49 demographic. When compared to viewership for both Raw and SmackDown, hold on. Sorry about that. Computer freezing. Beautiful. Just in time. Saturday Night Main Event drew similar numbers as the weekly flag show. So from what I'm understanding, NBC was not happy with those numbers. Thoughts on that? Are you disappointed that that's what the viewership was? I was a little bit shocked. And if you want to really compare it, college basketball made a splash, and they had Gonzaga. A Gonzaga game got 1.6 million. And again, I don't want to compare the WWE to basketball or football. I think that's an unfair comparison.
Right.
But that being said, shocking to see a return of that on NBC in a primetime spot with a lot of advertising.
Right.
1.5.
Not to me. I wasn't surprised by it. I figured that the average WWE fan would tune in, and just because it's fucking NBC, what does that mean nowadays? See, here's the deal. When I watched that program, I watched it on replay. It's one of those things we discuss all the time. All right? There's a million ways you can go about watching your show. You don't have to be sitting right there when it happens. That's why Nielsen ratings aren't what they used to mean.
Right.
We've had that discussion.
Yeah.
Our argument during the fucking so-called imaginary, AEW fucking WWE thing was hilarious to me, because who was continuing to sell out show after show after show, whether it was Madison Square Garden or the Boston, or whatever they were doing, it was WWE. It wasn't AEW. Who was selling the merchandise? WWE. It wasn't AEW. So to me, it was just, I didn't think that it would make that much of a difference on initial view. I wonder how many people have watched it on replay. I bet you there's twice as many.
So let me ask you that. Under that premise, is Netflix making a mistake paying all this money for WWE programming? Because what's the difference the same 1.5 are going to tune in to Netflix that are tuning in
Right.
to. In fact, I would think more people would have the availability to go to USA Network or
Right.
Fox than
Right.
they would Netflix.
Right. Well, what are the ratings based upon? They're usually based upon the initial viewing, true or false?
True.
Okay, so it's going to be the same situation. See, here's where you got to be worried. And this happens with any product. The WWE is fine. The contract is fantastic. Keep the content at a high quality, but just watch for one thing and one thing only. Product over saturation. Do not burn us out. Do not give us too much shit to choose from. Don't overdo it. See, for example, you know what I'm more concerned about, Mike? 2 3-hour shows. I do not want 85 pounds of shit rammed into a 2-pound bag. So that's my concern.
Listen, also, you know what? As human beings, we're creatures of habit, right? So, like, my life is pretty much the same, right? I work out on the weekends. Monday's my day off. I come home late from work. It's usually 7:30. I have dinner, or if I'm home early enough, walk the dog, whatever the situation is. If Dan and Benny are on or True Crime is on, I'll put that on.
There you
Cheap
go.
plug for
Cheap
Benny.
pop.
Cheap pop. And then I put on Raw.
Right.
I don't remember the last time I've put on a SmackDown, regardless before we moved to Friday nights, right? I don't remember the last time I put on SmackDown. What I do is I go to the gym the next day and I look up SmackDown and I go look through the videos and say, okay, which one will I watch and see what happened?
Right.
So, creatures of habit. I'm not even sure if I'll like. You know what's annoying to me? I'll have to go to Netflix to watch Raw, which means I'm going to have to stay on Netflix, which is really annoying, right?
What do you mean? What do you mean stay?
So
like
I'm on
you have to
USA
subscribe,
Network,
or-
right? Well, here's the thing. I'm on USA Network. Or you're watching the Yankee game on Yes, right?
Yeah. Okay. Not
You
not
know,
around
you're
here, but
watching it,
okay.
but I'm just saying, you're watching it, and then you change the channel to something else, right? Because this is a little boring right now. Like when Raw's on, right? I don't want to watch this match. I'll change it to a movie. And sometimes I'm engulfed in a movie. I forget Raw's even on, and I don't watch the whole thing. Now, when you're on Netflix, you got to come out of the streaming service, to do that. To me, that's annoying.
Well, I'll tell you what was really annoying, trying to watch that Tyson Paul fight, and it kept kicking me out. And then I had to put the passcode in, and then I had to go back into the website.
Yeah,
and blah, blah, blah.
I don't know what happened with that. I hope that's not going to be the norm.
Oh
But
my
think
God,
about
that would
this,
be
dude.
horrible.
If you have Raw on Netflix, okay, perfect example. Remember the Monday night the Jets were on early in the season when we had hopeful dreams, right? The Jets, right?
Yeah. What about?
We were bouncing back and forth, you and me, from Raw to fucking the football game.
Right. Well, you were.
All right, but you can't do that in Netflix.
All
And to
right,
me,
well,
that's really annoying.
I can see why it would be really annoying to you, because this is how I watch TV. I never have the time. Usually, I'm usually working during the days. I have weird hours. Like when shit's happening, I never watch anything live. I watch everything on replay. Everything. I'll tell you one thing: SmackDown has become difficult to watch on replay lately with the changeover. I don't know what the fuck's going on. I had a Hulu subscription, and for years I've watched SmackDown on it. And then all of a sudden, one week they're telling me I'm no longer valid to see this program. Well, fuck you. I said, fuck you. I said, you're not getting another fucking. You're already charging me almost $20 a month for fucking Hulu. I've seen Sons of Anarchy.
Here's the thing,
need
Jimmy.
you no more.
You said it. You got to be careful. Wrestling overload. Like last night was like. I was like, you know what? I'm on wrestling overload at this point, dude. I can't watch any more of this stuff, man. I got to watch something else. I like. Oh my God, I just can't. Listen, I was grateful to be there. Great memories.
Sure.
Again, the most important thing is I'm looking it through at 57-year-old eyes, right? I'm not 13. I'm not 14. I mean, I said to my wife, I used to be at the Garden every month. Every month. I fucking idolize those guys. And the funny thing is, it's like Jose Luis Rivera against Johnny Rods was a great match to me. I didn't ever look like, oh, this is a shitty match. I loved every match, no matter who they were, where they were. So I get it. We're not them anymore. You know what I mean? We're two guys. Real quick thing, Jimmy. So we covered a lot on the show. So another great show. Want your final thoughts on that video with Konnan and Disco in regards to the Curtis Axel interview?
Well, my final thoughts are basically it's revisionist history. Whatever the beef is between Curtis and Konnan, that's their deal. I could care less. We asked a valid question as fans, and Curtis answered it, and that's the way it goes. I respect Conan's response. He hasn't changed one bit. If that's how he feels, that's how he feels. As far as Glenn Gilberti, Disco Inferno, I'm definitely not going to lie. I am disappointed that for some reason, a guy who came on our show and later smoked weed with me, and we enjoyed our time together that we had him that day, like says we're nobody and nobody watches us. Well, check the library, my friend. You'll find out for yourself.
Listen,
people know.
You know what? Again,
whatever.
let's think about it this way. You didn't have a podcast when you came on our show.
True.
You asked questions about what we were doing. These are all facts.
Yeah,
if
you
that's
did.
Again, we can't say, "Oh, that's why you made the podcast."
No,
but
you definitely were inquisitive.
Something happened there. I mean, only God rest his soul, and I miss him. I was just thinking about him the other day. Lanny Poffo. Lanny Poffo specifically said he was going to do a show with JP Zarka because of our show.
Right.
And then in the end, he said to us on the last interview, I couldn't do it anymore.
Right.
I couldn't do it anymore.
Well, my favorite quote from him
too much respect.
My favorite quote from him was because he said it with his typical humor because he was a funny man. He was like, "This is hard."
Yeah, this is hard.
I love
this
that.
Is hard. Yeah, this is hard.
Yeah, we do have scripts, and yeah, we do prepare, and yeah, we do deal with a lot of agents, and yes, we've talked to hundreds of wrestlers. People know who we are, and I'm comfortable, Mike, at the end of the day with the library, because long after we're pushing up daisies, people are going to look at that library. There is staying power there. We're leaving something behind.
At this point, and again, I've always had thick skin, regardless. Okay, but at this point, I've heard everything that could be said, whether it's positive or negative, and we're always at respect for the positivity and the people that have supported us, and I even have respect for the negativity. But again, it's to each their own. You like what you like. You don't like you like. You like the kid from England? Go watch the kid from England. Right. You like this one? Go watch that one. Right. Whatever. But here are the facts. And you're right. Leave it at this. No one, and Lee, I know you're watching, and I'm going to say this again. I like you. I like you, Lee. But I'm going to give you and the puppet some real truth here. In the end, no one's going back to a Lee Cole show to ever watch it again. Right? Instant gratification, you're doing great, but no one's ever going back. The 5,000 views you got will remain 5,000 views from here to eternity, long before they put you under long after they put you under for a dirt nap. So, but the thing that Jimmy said, and he's right, our library, these videos catch fire out of nowhere a year later, year and a half later. Those are facts. And then again, it's real, true entertainment. That's all I got to say. Last time I mentioned your show, I will say that. And we've been on YouTube for 4 years, and we've got a combined 40,000 plus people who have hit our subscribe button. We've been through this twice now. Again, we don't need to explain anything. Again,
I'm sorry. My father was an accountant. The 15-year comment makes me laugh. It's 4 years.
That annoyed me a little bit. It's like, just don't throw shit out there. How about understand what's going on? But again, when it comes to Disco and Konnan, I think about this. Konnan, to WCW fans and Mexico, I guess, was a very popular wrestler. On my end, I look at this is you were a wrestler, you were on TV, you were privileged enough to be on TV. Your opinion seems to matter more than others, right? Because there's that whole mentality is that if you've never been a wrestler, if you've never been a football player, if you've never been a baseball player, you shouldn't be able to comment on stuff because you have no validity, right? You're just a fan. I say this, bullshit. Right? In reality, everybody's got a right to say whatever they want. and you could, well, yeah, you do have a right to say whatever you want, and then other people have a right to call you out on your bullshit. So, again, much respect. I appreciate you guys mentioning our name on the show. Glenn, nice job saying you don't know us, but in fact, we put up a video of you on the show.
Whoops.
Right? You're on the show. So I understand that you might have forgot you were on the show, but the facts are, you know who we are. And that's the name of this show, is You Know Who We Are. And you know what? Again, you made it today. Last week, you made an enemy of us. So any chance I get to fucking run you up a fucking flagpole, I'm going to fucking do it. You've now made the list, the famous list. And my final message again to Lee Cole and the Parrot. Jimmy has spoken. We are no longer going to play with people that don't matter. You don't matter. That is all. Say what you want. Be what you want. You don't matter. Do this all day. You don't matter. Jimmy, another great show. I got to tell you, dude, and I meant what I said about cocaine. If he was on AEW, I'd watch it every week.
With a straw?
Dude. I really feel like in today's society, you should be able to use that character. I really do.
Today's society, you're lucky to use the Coke product you spoke of.
Oh, you're killing me.
Dan Allison likes potato chips. We've got that, right?
Oh, last thing, and I'm remiss for not saying it. I'm an idiot for not saying it.
What?
Jimmy, I really need you to send Jimmy Pharaoh's personal condolences to one of the greatest baseball players in the history of baseball. And that one hurt me as a baseball fan, but I'm going to leave it to our residential expert to share his thoughts.
Okay. Well, once upon a time, there was a baseball player named Rickey Henderson. There was never anybody like him before him, and we've never seen anybody like him since him. He was a great hitter, but the biggest problem is that if he got a base hit, he would at will steal second, then he would steal third. So he's basically turning a single into a triple every time. He's probably the greatest leadoff hitter of anybody's generation. Doesn't matter who you pick. Mike, as you remember, he could also hit for power. Rickey could put it over the fence. Rickey was a unique individual. He always referred to himself in the third party. One of my favorite comments from Rickey somebody came to Rickey and was telling him about John 3:16, and Rickey, in typical fashion, turned and said, well, Rickey hit 330 this year. Okay, wow. So you're dealing with a guy who, was just a game changer. You don't see baseball played that way anymore. Before him, you didn't really see it played that way either. There were guys who could steal. We know about Lou Brock. We know about Maury Wills. We knew there were fast guys in the league. But this guy stole 130 bases, Mike. How many games are there in a season? He was basically stealing bases whenever he felt like it. I had never seen anything like him. And when he got to New York, it's not like he lessened. He was great here. He was only here 5 years. It's not his fault that the Yankees won the most games over that stretch and we had no pitching outside of Ron Guidry. I mean, he was there with Mattingly and Winfield. What a trio. Oh, my God. They were lethal.
Here's what I'll say about it, Jimmy, is this. In life, right, we're all on a time clock before it all ends, and you want to try to leave your mark.
Right.
Rickey Henderson is one of those guys that left their mark. And when we lost him, it hurt.
Yeah.
There's been plenty of them, but this one definitely, to me, definitely hurt.
Yep. He was a champion.
It's amazing, Jimmy. I think about what we've gone through on the show. We've lost a lot of great wrestlers during our time, from Road Warrior Animal to Lanny Poffo.
Right.
To Dan Marotti.
Mantar. New Jack. Scott Hall. I mean, there's a bunch, man.
Butch Reed.
Yeah, there's a bunch. What about your favorite, the Patriot? I mean, one of your favorites.
One of my favorites, man.
Dell. It's a long list.
But I will say for each of those guys we mentioned, including Ricky Henderson, God bless that you've had the opportunity to entertain people that you'll live in their hearts forever.
Yep.
And
Yep.
you know, some people might think it's odd that I mentioned Dan Marotti, but I really mean that. Dan Marotti, for what he did for the industry, there's ways to do stuff for an industry without being the fucking forefront of anything.
Right.
Dan Marotti made a difference in the industry.
Yeah.
Like you've said a million times, whether we agreed with him or not, he
Yeah.
made it. He made a difference.
Yeah. You all try to contribute what you can bring to the business. You know.
So
I mean,
you know, I really appreciate doing a show tonight. It was fantastic. I'll see. We want to do another one next week.
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, Jimmy, if you want to send us out.
You've been watching Monte and the Pharaoh, and until next week, later.
You know, I think the camaraderie is wonderful. You know, again, I applaud you, and I don't mean by silliness or, you know, trying to be a funny guy. Great. You guys, you know, you go for it. But, you know, here's a guy, and here's Paul Roma. You know, Paul Roma that had the it factor. There was something missing. I don't know, you know, and it's probably, you know, more than likely the office was wrong.
Or Jason, he could have went to the Wizard of Oz and requested a brain. Either one, I'll go with either which way you go.
Yeah, you know, I mean, you know, I'm you know, I'm
You're gonna make me start singing, Mike. Don't make me sing if I only had a brain. Please don't do that. Go ahead, Jay.